Good day, Suidlanders, and welcome to Suidlanders Week in Review, the great catch-up. Number 3 of 3 in this series of Friday, the 21st of March, 2025. I apologize for any delays in the production of this video. It's entirely my fault. I've had a very rough past couple of weeks with all sorts of dramas, and thrown in among that a few big interviews that have left me with very little time to produce this video, or to record it rather, I should say, for the producers, so that the fault is mine, not theirs. For those of you who don't know, for almost 2 months, from the 10th of January, I didn't produce a week in review, although I continued to do my other Suidlanders work, including interviews and 2 large and important projects. The reason was simply that in the last couple of weeks of December, a series of events began which ran throughout January and into February that blew my mind and left me bewildered by their meaning and quite perplexed about our Caucasian Christian conservative place in the world. I want to avoid exaggerating that crisis, but it was not possible for me to preach to the world, to lecture, to have an opinion, when I had discovered that there were major events influencing the entire world that severely challenged our worldview. I had to know what I was talking about, understand those things before sharing them. One of the most ideal examples of those events that challenged so much of what we understand about how the world works and left me, quite honestly, wandering about this farmstead, perplexed for a few weeks, was, as I described in parts 1 and 2 of this great catch-up series, Donald Trump taking what is by definition a massive symbolic advantage of his first full day in office to demonstrate his priority above all others, or his prioritization, if you like, of AI by staging a pantomime involving a number of characters whose AI projects involve the chipping of human beings, as has been incontrovertibly, incontestably proven over and over again by, among other people, Whitney Webb. Now that I've recapped the premise of this series for those who might not have seen parts 1 and 2, let's tackle the gold and silver prices before doing the final portion of the series. At the time of writing, gold is continuing a fantastic run above $3,000 that began on the 16th of March and has continued for 9 straight days without dropping below $3,000. Right now the price is around about $3,030, just a little bit above. Silver continues to be the Cinderella of the 2 precious metals in question, presently floating just above $33, having flirted with $34 in the past week. The price continues being suppressed by enormous spoof trades done by the world's largest financial institutions, with the result that the New York COMEX cannot meet demand, and the London LBME is effectively defaulting on physical delivery. Right, back to our series. The past 2 videos have been long, so we'll endeavor to keep this one much shorter and go through 3 or 4 summarized events. As you know, there's been an unusually high number of air accidents in North America in recent months. Who knows? if there lies anything sinister behind them. I don't. What I do know is that the mid-air collision of the evening of the 29th of January between a U.S. Army Black Hawk helicopter and an American Airlines jet coming into land at Ronald Reagan Airport right above Washington, D.C.'s Potomac River was as sketchy a story as sketchy stories get, if you ask me anyway. As one famous social media observer put it, that looks extremely avoidable. I put it to you, beloved Suidlanders, that one day in the future we are going to learn that that event was 100% sinister from beginning to end. I witnessed that, and for a couple of days I thought, they are taking us for fools, and we're welcoming it. On Tuesday, the 4th of February, we witnessed one of the most astonishing displays of theatre by a leader in history, when, during a press conference with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu at the White House, Donald Trump said, "The USA will take over the Gaza Strip, and we will do a job with it too." Needless to say, no matter whose side you are on, it is one of the most provocative statements by a statesman of all time, especially given the prevailing circumstances, not to mention the conditions. Of course, it was so preposterous that although the world was mortified, it did not take it too seriously for too long. However, those of us who are following events in the Middle East with one eye on or one ear to the declarations of people like Israeli Finance Minister Bezalel Smotrich and recent Minister of National Security Itamar Ben-Gvir, not to mention the many recent rabbinical sermons about Greater Israel in the year 2025, we knew that Trump's assertions were not pure hot air, but a brilliantly shrewd introduction into the global discourse of a subject that might otherwise have remained taboo. After all, how on earth else do you propose the total eradication of Gaza without causing a firestorm across the entire Middle East? It was mind-blowingly devious, and enough to arrest you in your mental tracks for days on end. Then, not to be outdone by Donald Trump, on about the 25th of February, Donald Trump tackled the matter of peace in Ukraine as he had promised to do, and indeed, not just to tackle it, but to resolve it altogether. Within 24 hours of becoming president on the 20th of January on the campaign trail. So on the campaign trail, he made these promises regarding the 20th of January, or within 24 hours of the 20th of January, by presenting a treaty to Ukraine whereby the USA would provide very limited security guarantees to Ukraine and some ongoing support. And if you like, retroactively exchange its $350 billion in aid over the past 3 years in return for a 50-50 development partnership of Ukraine's logistics facilities, natural gas, and rare earth minerals in perpetuity, valued at $500 billion. So, what Donald Trump said was, I'm going to sort out things in Ukraine. I'm going to make peace. He went to the Ukrainians and he said to them, look, we're not going to guarantee you security and all sorts of things like that. We're not going to tread on Russia's toes. But what we will do is, the money that we donated to you as aid for free with no strings attached, we're going to attach strings on that money, I should say, retroactively. You didn't know it before. It was never part of our handshake, but you now owe us the $350 billion back. But we'll price it at $500 billion. And we think that the way that you can settle that score is to give us an in perpetuity 50-50 access to all of your logistics, natural gas, and rare earths. As a brief aside, that occurred just a few days, perhaps a week at most, after China sanctioned the USA's access to import Chinese rare earths. China is one of the world's leading rare earths producers. In fact, I don't think it has the largest load, proven resources. Nevertheless, just as it doesn't have the world's largest proven resources in gold or of gold, it is the world's number one gold miner. Likewise, it is the world's number one rare earth metals producer. So the USA was promptly cut out of that supply chain. For those who don't know, rare earths are a group of metals in the periodic table that are not all that rare, and they're not earths, which are extremely valuable for two things, broadly speaking. Under the umbrella of modern technology. So they didn't have that much purpose in technology in the 1700s or 1800s, steam engines or early motorcycles, early aeroplanes, biplanes. They are metals which are relevant to ultra modern technology in two particular fields under this umbrella of modern technology. One is magnetics. Magnetics for this, magnetics for that, magnetics for you name it. Super high performance magnetics. And the other is in transmitting electricity and being able to revert to their original state. In other words, a huge pulse of electrical current is sent through them, and they don't over time lose their ability to revert to their original state. They don't deteriorate. They don't lose shape. They don't lose performance. They don't lose speed. Another aside is, if we talk about the USA gaining access, be under no illusions. Donald Trump wasn't talking about the USA as in the USA. He was talking about BlackRock, State Street, and Vanguard. Under no circumstances was the US Corps of Engineers or USAID or I don't know who going to go to Ukraine to mine rare earths and build pipelines for gas. That would have been delegated, licensed to somebody. Now, as we've discussed previously, 42% of Ukrainian soil was collateralized to BlackRock particularly, but not only, in the aid process of the past 3 years. So the deals weren't struck USA-Ukraine. The money was given to BlackRock. BlackRock disbursed it. As BlackRock disbursed it, so it said, look, this is meant to be aid, but it's going to function like a loan. We want to be sure that the money is handled properly, meaning we want to be sure that we get this aid back. It's a loan. Excuse me. Therefore, we're going to collateralize it. It is one of the biggest schlenterings, as my dad would say, imaginable. It is a move as gangster as Mitchell's plane and as crooked as a dog's leg. But, more importantly, it is a mind-bogglingly act of such audacity as to leave mere mortals like me, you too perhaps, in a daze for a week? How do you begin to understand these things? Unprecedented, unheard of, and absolutely shameless. Anyway, guys, that's our great catch-up completed. I'm going to be doing some more videos. I'm going to do an overview of events from, was it the 2nd of February, when Donald Trump tweeted about, on his Truth Social platform, about withdrawing aid from South Africa and the ANC doing enormous harm to certain classes. For some strange reason, people keep quoting him as having said groups. Groups and classes are specifically not the same thing. They are not synonymous words. They're meant to define two completely different things. I could fall into the group rugby players today. Tomorrow, I could give up rugby, start playing cricket. I'd be in the group. It might be described as the cricket players of the world. Pentecostal, Methodist, Roman Catholic, you name it. But I am in a class as far as being a male is concerned. I am in a class as far as being Caucasian is concerned. And it was a very, very wise choice of words, because he was restricting himself to, by implication, by extremely subtle implication, the white Afrikaners of South Africa primarily, but perhaps white people more generally. Guys, thank you very much for watching this video. We're back in the saddle. We're going to do more and more and more. I have got my hands full contemplating two very big projects, so be a little bit patient with us. But as I say, we are back in the saddle, and we are beginning to pick up the pace in producing videos again. Goodbye, and God bless all of you. Cheerio.